Welcome back to the channel. I'm Oliver Phil here with the Farmall 656 part 2 video. We're hoping to get this mostly done and whipped into shape, at least here at Run. So we got just a real brief. We have the new battery. I got a tire, used tire that actually matches the brand. Just one's a radial and the other one's bias ply for the rear. We got two brand new tires for the front, and Tyler's over here getting the hardware, all new hardware for this tire. And we had some of the eyelets were stripped and threads were flat, and there's no reason to take a chance on the wheel. We got the fuel tank all cleaned out now. New gasket and sediment bowls all clean, which will get it turned on. I have a plate that we'll go ahead and get put on, and side cover and distributor and spark plug. So we're going to try to get this wheel put on, and then I will get you guys back for the next part. All right, so we're going to give the tire brake the hardware that was sent, guaranteed to fit. Does not fit, so Tyler ran down the road, see if he can get some hardware. So I'm going to move over here real quick, and before I get any of the other dirt flying around or mice nests we've been cleaning and going on in the shop, I want to get plugs in it just to fill those cylinders so nothing can get in there, and then I will move on to the platform, because we're going to go ahead and take the side cover off and seal it up, and that's when I'll go through the distributor. So I'm just doing this really to stop anything from going down in the cylinders while we keep causing dust. So I got all these spark plugs gapped already. I think it was the book, pretty sure the book told me it was 25 thousandths, which is close enough. And we'll get these put in. It is like 5 degrees out, so even with the shop heat on, I am way more comfortable in here, but got the hood up just to keep the chill off the neck. I'm excited to see how this thing runs. Got an air filter in it finally that I can breathe out of. I still would like to get a look at the other end of that air intake above the radiator, just to make sure there's nothing else plugged in there. Got out what I could. And cleaned out the fuel tank best I can. Drained all that old gas out, and you can see it's a little cloudy, but as long as that thing's catching the sediment, I'm happy. I can finish off with the 5 gallons of fresh gas that can catch the sediment from now on. Grab a 7/8, which I still did not find my 7/8 spark plug socket. Alrighty, got that going for us. Now that way, anything else we get blown around won't go in there. So I'll turn your attention towards this floor plate. Now, as long as he's had the tractor, he has never seen it with a floor plate on it, which also is how this tractor utilizes a parking brake. So now he says, well, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever had a parking brake. So that is something that we're looking at fixing today as well. I need to shoot this the other way. Maybe. Just might have to work it in here, so let's see. Probably have to undo the springs to get these things out of the way enough. Let's see, let me get in here real quick. See if I can't look. It is a tight fit. Constant shuffle where you put the camera. Probably get these springs removed, which will help these pedals drop out of the way so I can get these in. Let me try that. Now see about getting Tyler's help on the other side. All right, so what I had to do is I had to heat up and back off the brake adjustment bolt here to get the pedals to come down far enough to get this plate hopefully to clear this brake pedal, which haven't had complete luck with yet. There we go. And then take the two bolts out of the battery tray. So now that is setting on the transmission housing like it should. Just gotta finagle it past the clutch pedal as well. Also looks like we're hitting this cap. So let's pull this out. The transmission dipstick also needs to come out in order for this to go down all the way. There we go. Now work at getting the spacers in that go underneath here and get that thing the rest of the way put in. definitely a tight fit. All right, that was fun. Had a lot fighting me, but we got the risers that were still on the tractor with broken bolts. Got those on there. I just got to put the front battery box tray bolts in, which is the rest of the bracketry there. I'm going to go ahead and get both brakes adjusted and do that now, because that'll help finish installing the wheel. He's been working on it. He had to go get different hardware for now because what he was sent is actual 3/4 inch bolts and they do not fit. They're 5/8. So we got hardware for now, and we'll get those switched out to the square-headed bolts. So same thing here. Front battery tray bolts. Got the springs back on, risers, and now he will have, you can see, he'll have a parking brake. And that's why I'm going to get these brakes adjusted real quick so it'll hold that wheel over there. So I'll get you set up and we'll adjust these brakes. Okay, so on these brakes, we have your actual pivot nut and a lock nut. So I have these coming down. I don't know if that's 2 inches roughly, so I can I'll bring this in a little closer. All right. You don't want them too tight because it could lock up. So we'll make the other side match that one. So let's go to the other side. So this one, he had mentioned, Tyler, if you want to go over to that pedal, he had mentioned he hasn't had a good left brake that he remembers. So we're not going into the brakes right now, but I'm at least going to go ahead and adjust them. So have you hold on to it, just let it sit where it's at. If we have further issues, we're going to end up messing with it. But right now the goal is to not mess with them too much right now. Going to, but just not yet. These have been on there a while, so we're going to heat these up. Here we go, a little bit of MAPP gas heat does the trick. And we'll see if I can knock you guys over. Let me get you to a better spot here. There we go, maybe. I think she's still stuck. Let's heat it again. There we go. Got that rust broke loose. Back this one off. Oh, we lost you. All right. Hopefully that didn't hurt. All right, now lube it up again, and we're gonna go tighten it, and I'll have you apply it here in a minute, and you'll just check the adjustment. All right, go ahead and try it. Further yet? All right. Like I said, I don't know what's going on inside that. And that's what's going on. Man down. So we're gonna have to dig into that brake a little further if I keep knocking the camera off. So we'll mess with that here. All right, we got the wheel on and done. A little bit longer bolts than we normally would have used, but he was able to still get square-headed bolts. But that is on there. It is looks just a hair wider. Has the right tire, and that is due to the right hand side being a bias ply and the left being a radial, so they'll sit a little flatter. But it is the same design and same brand tire. So kind of looked out there, and when you're in the dirt, you're not going to feel or notice the difference. And about the same tread depth. So definitely the economical way to go right now to get this thing back to work. And he's going to get the new tie rod and joints somewhat close, and then he'll run home and get that painted. And then only thing I have to do is some light touch up. So I'll get this back down on the ground, and we will have to revisit the brakes, which we knew we were gonna. I was just trying to see if I could get them adjusted. That bolt ran out of throw, and first chance it had, it snapped right off. So we'll go through inside here, and we're gonna find a problem. But the plate is on, and this is the side that would have the park brake, so that's why I was getting it adjusted to see about holding the wheel. So I'm gonna hit these grease fittings while I'm down here, get this thing down on its own tire, and then move towards the side cover gasket so we can finish the tune-up. All right, so now I'm gonna move on and get this side cover off so I can get it glued back on, and then mess with the distributor and get the oil filter back in it, because taking the side cover off will help me, or not side cover, but getting the oil filter canister off will help me get to the side cover. So let's get that off. Oh, I should have known. There we go. Got a little bit of wiring to repair as well. It was melted. Looks like this went around to the air filter reminder. Actually looks like potentially both of these did, which I'll get those out of the way so I can work on those. So for those of you who haven't seen it, take off this canister, and then inside is an element, and which this design is still used today in cars. And see what kind of, there's some sludge there. Which we thought about upgrading this to a spin-on oil filter. But I think since he happened to have a new oil filter, there's the O-ring, new oil filter for it sitting around already, we opted to just go that route. So for those of you that haven't seen that, that's how that works. Just a cartridge filter and a canister, but they make an adapter to go to a spin-on. So I'm going to take these screws out all the way around the side cover, get that all cleaned up, and then I'll bring you back to put it on, because that'd be a long video just watching me scrape a gasket and get those screws out. So I'll catch you back after I do that. Well, got it all scraped off. Brake clean, blew out the bolt holes, and also cleaned this cover off some, wire brushed this side, and also took a socket and a hammer to each of the bolt holes where they get caved in some from over tightening. So I'm going to get the gasket glued on here, and we'll get it put in place and get the bolts in it. And then also there was the draft tube I'll finish cleaning the gasket off of, and get that put on, and I'll bring you back. Didn't miss anything crazy. Well, I didn't film it, but I got the new muffler clamp and clapper on, and it looks nice. I'm not sure 100% if it was the original muffler design, but definitely an original look for some internationals out there. But when he had done a new manifold some years back, it's a larger pipe, and I think it was 2 5/16, or I'm sorry, 2 15/16, and his original pipe fit inside it instead of over it. So I said we need to put something to where everything is over the exhaust. So this is what we went with. Definitely looks nice. So all this is cleaned out, and I had the retorqued the bolts on the side cover and put the new oil filter on, got all that back on. So now I'm going to take this cap off, covers the points and condenser, got all new parts here. So get that off, get you set up to where we'll change the original condenser and points out, and we'll change the coil, cap, rotor, points cover, and then make the wires, and then we'll see about firing it up. Then I'm going to change the oil again, and also he got some new belts, and then I still got to check out some of this wiring. So we're really close, but we should see it run here shortly. So hopefully you can see this pretty good. You can kind of still see the IH stamped there. So I have the motor turned to where it's on the high lobe of the cam and the distributor here. It's like a cam lobe, distributor lobe, and that is where the points are open. And out of curiosity, I'm going to check to see what they were at. There is 20, and it moves it a little bit, so my guess is 18, which is what I usually do, 18 to 20. Of course, this kit is missing the 18. Yeah, so that's what it's at. Just about 20, but 18. So that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and get it taken apart here. Oops. Oh, come on. There we go. Slightly burnt, but could be cleaned, but we're just going to go ahead and change it. Okay. Probably wire brush that contact a little bit. And now we need take the other half off. A little bit of fluff on everything, which I'll clean the distributor out. There's the other half of the points. Out with the old, in with the new, but one thing I'll show you on the new, I always check before we put it together is, I don't know if you can see how kind of clean that half of the point is, where this one is already corroded some from in the package. So we're going to clean all that off. Sometimes it's just like a grease, but even after wiping it's still not great. So make sure that's always that these are both clean before you put them in, so that way you don't throw them in and you're still having problems. Check that first. It's easier to clean them when they're out. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to need a bunch, but something. Alright, there's a little bit of felt in there, which I'll put a tiny bit of oil on. We'll clean this lobe off, and there's a little bit of grease that'll go on the pivot for the points, and just a teeny bit on here. Now we'll see about getting this screw out without losing it. Look at there. That's a collector item. So let me get this cleaned and then I'll bring you back for that. Got it cleaned up some, got a little bit of oil on the felt in the center. You don't need to go overboard on that. Definitely don't need to. Easy. Got the condenser here. Gonna get it snug down. Well, I'm not too worried about making sure it's in there yet, but we will. Then I can angle. I can loosen this to give yourself some slack on the wire, because we'll push. Let's loosen it some more. Because we can push the condenser over. So you can move this condenser down a little bit without having it touch to give you some slack on the wire. And then I got a little bit of the lube that they provide to put on the post for the points here. And I have those cleaned. And it's always got to bend the spring around. Bring it around and set it down in. And then make sure our points are all the way down. Looks to be. And then now that'll move like so. Now I can push this wire in. And then snug up this nut. Gotta have little tools for inside the little distributor. I actually have a nice ignition points kit, tool kit, but it's out in the truck, and this is what I got in the shop. But it's working just fine. Okay. I'm gonna hold on to this. Snug this outside one up a little, because I was getting some movement there. There we go. So we're good there. Got the condenser in. Then I would throw in the other half of the points. Let's grab onto it with my pliers. Seems to be working out so far. There we go. Then with the points on that cam lobe or distributor lobe, I will get that a little more tension on that screw, and then we'll set our gap. And I just pushed pushed on that. And that is where I'm going to lock it down. A little loose there, so I'm going to whoa. Almost lost you guys there. Can't tell you how many times that happens. Too much. It's not necessarily an art to this, it's just getting it set right. Use your feeler gauges. I'm just using my left hand to make sure that it's on the high lobe of the distributor here. Boy, it's moving just great for me. There it is. Check this again. All right, it's right where I want to be. So we got that going for us. So all tightened down, and I haven't changed the coil yet. But got the ignition on, and you can see, maybe you can if I turn this light out, we got spark, so that's good. So I'll move on to, out of preventative maintenance, we're changing the coil, and that's what the customer bought. So I'll put the new cover over the points here. This is the new one, and oh, they even put IH on that, make it hard to determine if it's original. But also there's a felt here which I pre-soak in oil, not like drenching. Just all those little things help lubricate the components that spin. So not going crazy with it. All right, spin that. We'll put the IH right up top. Just stopping for a second to show you how I do the wire ends for the spark plugs. I do not have the special spark plug wire pliers, which are probably fairly inexpensive after doing some Googling. So I have these kind of strippers that have a blade inside here. So for instance, I would put it on the end of the wire, do a couple wraps, take this off, and then that just kind of cuts everything nice. And then you want to make sure that, that's why I use this, you don't want to cut any of these strands. And then I would slide the boot over. Make sure you put the boot on. Real hard to get on after that. So then I slide the boot on, and then here's your wire ends. So I fold that back, and I want to crimp that in there. So I use just a pair of pliers to kind of get me started. And then I don't know how many you've seen, fence pliers. And they seem to work real good. And that's about it. It's got a real tight crimp, and gets the wire in there. And then this is number 3, so it would just push down in. All done. Slide the boot over. So I'm gonna finish doing that. We'll go from there. All right, and that's what she looks like. Got all the wires on and done. I just do the zip ties loosely so that we can kind of see. I don't like the coil wire. It was a little short that they sent. I might redo that later, but it does reach. Coils all on. We have new wiring. Cut back the factory harness and replace the wires that were cracked and brittle. Come down through all the connections, curve over to the distributor, 1 down to the oil pressure sender, and then 2 come over and go to the air filter gauge. So I stock those ends. Did all new wire. Happened to have it in red just because it got painted in red anyway. Toolbox is back on. Had to fix some wiring here. I think I showed in the beginning of the video where they just had wires twisted and wrapped around. We got fresh gas tank cleaned out. What I'm going to do real quick, which is going to be hard for you to see because I'm going to be standing in the way, so I'm going to change these 2 belts. They look terrible and old. So it's basically going to be loosen these 2 bolts, and that'll slide the fan down to get this belt off. And then on the other side, we just loosen the alternator, bring it in, and that'll get the second belt off. And then you want to tighten them up. And then I'm going to bring you back, and we're going to try to start it. All right, let's see about getting this thing started. Got the fuel gauge comes up, amp light on. I think all the, dash lights are all working. We got all the lights working after fixing the electric. All right, let's see if we can get her started. I did have to go through the carburetor because it was gummed up. I did not get video of that in attempts to keep this short. I have not had it running yet, and I will have to adjust the carb now. And then I did put the tie rod on, which was straightforward. Knock both ends off, put it on, and then adjust the alignment. But trying to keep the video a little shorter. So let's all do a first start up here. Come on, I'll choke it a little. Didn't put the bolt in yet. There we go. Oh yeah. Alright. Just checking how everything's doing. It sounds good. side cover. No oil leak. The filter. New belts are on. Platform feels nice and firm. A lot better than having your feet all over the hydraulic lines. We got tachometer. Fuel, which I didn't put much in it. We put 5 gallons total in it. Lights are off, so it's charging. Got oil pressure off. Yeah, I'll show you all the lights work. So, very nice. 3-point. Coming back up. Like I said, this thing has not done anything but sit for over 5 years or so. I haven't adjusted the carb other than initial settings. Well, I think she sounds great. New exhaust. Went through the carburetor. Charging. Oh yeah. So what I'll do now is I'm going to run this a little bit and just double check some other stuff, and then I'm going to try to get back with a video of this on the dyno. So, let me see if the key will shut her off. So that being said, there's the new tie rod assembly, customer painted, just so it wouldn't rust. I think all in all this project went well. Just took some time to get some parts in. Still more to do, as you guys have seen in the video. So I'm going to end it here. I really appreciate you guys hanging in. A lot of these videos are long. I'm still learning how to shorten these up and still have detail in here. And I will try to do that. I do know that, you know, shorts, I can extend some shorts interval times. So keep an eye out. I'm going to try to get this on the dyno and see if we find anything else wrong. I just want to reiterate that I'm not saying it's completely done, but per what the customer wants, and then try to use it and see what else we come up with. As long as it dynos out okay and still runs good once it's warm, then they're going to take it and use it. If not, there'll be more videos. But I think so far it's doing good. So I'll get it on the dyno and get another video separate from this one dynoing. So again, I really appreciate it. If you can hit that like and subscribe button, I'll keep the content coming, and it's, like I said, the content will be all kinds of different things. I got a nice Cummins project coming up, so tune in. We'll catch you on the next one.